Alright, as you all know, I'm Katie Rowe, and I'm going to be talking to you about my family, more specifically my mom's side of the family, which is the Earners. So the main people I interviewed was my grandpa. His name is Joe. We call him Pappy. I don't really know where the name came from, but that's his name. Like, I had to ask my mom what my grandpa's name was because I didn't even know, because that's what I've called him my whole life. I also interviewed my mom. Her name is Sandy, and then my cousin Emily. So this is my Pappy. He's 86 years old. A very stubborn 86-year-old who did not like this project at all, and it's very hard to answer some questions, but we got through it. So he was born on October 7th, 1930. He's from Carrollton, Pennsylvania. That's where my grandma was from too. That's where they met. We also have a family reunion there every year, so we travel out to Pennsylvania, and that's where everyone meets up every year. So he had 9 brothers and sisters. Edith, Ruth, Lawrence, Mary, and Martha were twins. Chuck, Bernie, Harry, and Jim. He was the second youngest, and he's actually the only one still living today. He also worked for a printing company. That was like his main job, and that was interesting to me because he talked about how he would create posters for movies that were coming out, and they were then shown on the outside of the movie theater, and that relates to me because I'm a marketing major and we learn about advertising and stuff like that. So he was in the Navy for 4 years. He went in right after high school at age 17. He served during the Vietnam and Korean War, and during his time he got to travel to Virginia, France, Italy, and Spain. He got on the boat in Virginia, and then he said he might have been a few other places, but he couldn't remember. So he met his wife, my grandma, at the Post 506 American Legion, which was back in his hometown. He didn't know why my grandma was there because she obviously wasn't in the military, but that's where he met her. So they married on June 20th, 1953, and then that's when he found the job at the printing company in Cleveland area, specifically in Willowick. So he had 6 children. Suzanne, Joseph, Daniel, Richard, Sandra, and Judy. My mom is Sandra. 2 of them unfortunately passed away within the same year, well, within 7 months of each other. So my Uncle Dan passed away in 2002 from heart disease and a heart attack, and Richard passed away in 2003 from many health issues. He had like diabetes, and he always had health issues throughout his whole life. So like I said, they died 7 months apart from each other, so that was a rough time in my family's life. So he has 9 grandchildren: Aaron, Danny, Ben, Joey, Ryan. Ryan's my brother. Emily, me, and Sammy and Adam. And when he was younger, he would enjoy fishing, bowling, hunting, and now that he's 86 and doesn't get out much, he loves doing puzzles. So his favorite thing to do when he was younger, he said, was pick potatoes. So he said he would go to school, and as soon as he got out of school, he would go to the farmer's land and they would pick potatoes for the farmer, and he would get paid for it, and he said it was what he looked forward to do every day. So he was able to graduate from high school, and the one thing he said that was a huge positive in his life was that he's had a very happy life his whole life, and he has an extremely loving family. So the tragic events he talked about was when he had a heart attack about 5 years ago, and the loss of his 2 sons was very hard on him as well. And then his biggest accomplishment, he was very happy about this one. I heard my grandma was too. He said it was marrying his wife. They've been married for 63 years, and then he said he's also very proud of his children and grandchildren. But he couldn't think of any accomplishments in his life. That's just what he liked. So next is my mom. Her name's Sandy. She is 52. She was born on August 31st in 1964. So her and my dad both started at Lakeland Community College, and they both played basketball there. And that's where they met because they were always in the gym playing basketball together. And then they both ended up getting scholarships to Ashland University, and both went there to play basketball as well. So that's how they met. They have 2 kids, me and my brother. My mom actually said she wanted at least 4 kids. My dad only wanted 1. so they came to an agreement on 2, and they regret it to this day that they only had 2. And they live in Mentor, Ohio right now. So my mom's first job was in an ice cream trophy shop. She actually helped the owner open it. It's in Willowick, Ohio. It's ironic because at least 6 family members have worked there since. It's just kind of like a little family tradition to work at this ice cream shop. It still exists today. It's cool. So she's an accountant. She works for Stairs Corporation. She also has had many other accounting jobs. But since being a business major, we had to take multiple accounting classes, which wasn't my forte. But having my mom being an accountant was great because the teachers were hard, and she was able to help me throughout my time in the accounting classes, which was great. So when I asked her some positives and negatives about growing up, she said she felt the world was a safer place when she was growing up. She has a park across the street from the house she grew up in, and she used to always just go across the street and play unsupervised, and she feels like it's not that safe of a world anymore because people always have to keep an eye on their kids because you never know what can happen. So some negatives were that both of her parents worked full-time jobs, so she was never able to have both of them in the house at the same time to spend time with them. So nowadays her hobbies are running, boxing, and spending time with her family. And the biggest exciting thing that happened in her life was winning the YMCA Dream House, which I talked to you guys about earlier in the semester. So she is fifth of 6 children. So she liked it and disliked it. She didn't like that she had 4 older siblings always telling her what to do and picking on her. And then she absolutely hated that her younger sister got away with everything and still does to this day. So she also said that she didn't get a lot of attention from her mom because her younger brother, Ricky, like I said, that passed away, always had many health issues as he was growing up. But she said the good thing about being the fifth of 6 children is that she always has a sibling to back her up and be there for her, even to this day. So the biggest event in her life, she said, was having children. And then I also put a quote in here from her because I thought it was really nice. She said, "You never know how much you love something until you have a child. You never know how responsible you feel until you have a child. It's like wearing your heart on the outside of your body. I would do anything for my children," which is so true. That's exactly the type of person she is. So a significant world event for her was 9/11 and the Boston Marathon bombing. She said the Boston Marathon bombing was huge to her because she runs half marathons all the time, and it's just a scary thing to her now. And so now these impacted her because she always thinks twice before getting on a plane. We go to Florida. She goes to Florida like at least 6 times a year because we have a house down there, and she still just thinks twice before getting on a plane because she never knows what can happen. It made her more aware of her surroundings and what's going on around her. And she also was very proud that she was one of the 6 children to graduate from college. Well, one of 2. Her and my other uncle were the only 2 children to graduate from college, and she was also proud that she was a double major. So another accomplishment for her was getting a job right out of college at a big 8 accounting firm. She said since she went to such a small school, it wasn't typical for someone like her to get a job within a company like that. So she was very proud of that. And she's also said she's proud of her children because she considers us good people. And the tragic event for her was her 2 brothers passing away, just like my uncle. Just like my grandpa, I mean. So the last person I interviewed was Emily. She's my cousin. She's 22 years old. I thought it would be cool to interview someone from 3 different generations to get a different view on what they think about their past and stuff like that. And my brother likes to call her our adopted redheaded sister because we look a lot alike. So she was born on February 9th, 1994. She lives in Kirtland, Ohio. Her parents are Judy and Ron. Judy is my mom's sister. And she has a younger brother, Adam, who's 20, who goes to Ohio State. So currently she is a server at the Happy Moose, which is just a bar and grill because she's currently in college. She goes to Lakeland Community College, where she's studying nursing. The thing she likes to do most is hang out with her friends and play with her dog. Some positives about the time in which she grew up was a loving, supportive family and new technology. She liked that new technology was like coming, like phones and stuff like that, but she also thought of that as a negative because it's taking away from people communicating with each other and actually going outside and having fun outside like kids don't do these days anymore because there's so much new technology. So she had the same major event as my mom. She felt that 9/11 was a huge event and it has made her feel less safe in the world, just like I'm sure it has the same impact on a lot of people. She is the first child since she has a younger brother, and she said this is a negative because her little brother gets all the special treatment and her parents are much more strict on her. She said her education has had a huge impact on her. It's made her a more rounded person and given her a different perspective on the world. So the biggest event in her life was moving away to college. She at first went to Kent State University, and she said that this was huge because it taught her to be independent and feeding for herself, and it was just a big adjustment for her. So for her accomplishments, her first one was getting into college, making the dean's list in college, and purchasing her first car. And as for my other two family members, the most tragic event was the death of our two uncles. So in conclusion, like I said before, I thought it was interesting to get a view from 3 different generations within my family. And as you can tell, like I said before, the death of my 2 uncles was a huge aspect that happened in my family's life. As you can tell that all 3 of them said that that was the most tragic event to happen to all of them. Everyone talked about how close our family is. It really is. If anyone were to see it, it's crazy how close we are. It's sometimes too close. And then I really liked this project because it gave me the opportunity to spend time with my family members alone when I usually wouldn't because I am away at school. So I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Katie, may I ask why your grandfather was reluctant, didn't like the project?
He literally, I was asking him all these questions. He goes, "Can't you just make up answers for me?" He's just he's stubborn.